Hi everyone, and before we start the session, there's a special announcement. Recently, we launched the new batch of Sigma, which is Sigma 10, जिसके अंदर हम अपनी complete tech placement preparation के लिए development, DSA and quant aptitude तीनों को ही detail में करने वाले हैं. And इस बार Sigma 10 के अंदर there is a very special unique choice that we can optionally also opt for AI/ML along with our tech placement preparation. तो Sigma 10 की जो classes हैं वो start होंगी 19 November से, and for all the interested students there's a special student offer जो रहेगा अगले 2 दिन यानी 13 November शाम के 10 बजे तक. The link for enrolling in the batch is in the description box. So today we're going to interview Ruchita. Ruchita is our alpha batch student जिनका selection हुआ है JP Morgan and Chase के अंदर. She comes from a tier 3 college and this was an off campus opportunity जिनको उन्होंने crack किया है via the Code for Good hackathon. So let's get to know about Ruchita's journey in detail. So hi Ruchita, सबसे पहले tell us about yourself.
Hello ma'am, my name is Ruchita Swamigowda. I am currently a 4th year IT engineering student and I have recently got an offer of internship plus FTE from JP Morgan Chase & Co. as a software engineer.
Okay. So Ruchita, tell us about your entire experience in your college as well as your entire preparation journey towards getting this placement.
So it's not about the preparation, but I would like to highlight a part that in second year, we got an opportunity to sit for Morgan Stanley test. And I failed miserably. It was the first time I was failing a test and I was really disheartened. And post that, I also got to know that just after a year, I'll also get an opportunity to sit for JP Morgan Chase & Co. And that was the time I decided now I have to prepare really thoroughly because it's the dream company for all Mumbaikars here. So in my, you can say mid of third year, I joined Alpha course because I actually required something structured to save my time, effort, and give my 100% there. So I prepared for around 3.5 and 4 months. And in the month of April or March, we got the test.
Okay.
And post that around a month, we got the selection criteria. And I got selected for the second round, which was an AI-based behavioral test round. We got 2 questions out there. We were able to answer it in 2 minutes and save and record it. Post that after 15 to 20 days, we got an email that I made it for the hackathon. It is a 24-hour Code for Good hackathon, which was in Mumbai itself. It was a 2-day event, an entirely great experience, great mentors present there. In that environment, I understood that a pre-made team is not important. We got the team 1 day prior to the hackathon. We collaborated around our tech stacks, around our strengths and weaknesses. And we were the runner-ups in the hackathon for our question which we made for the NGO.
Congratulations.
And after 3.5 months, we got to know that I have made into JPMC.
Nice. We are so happy for you. So Ruchita, describe the Code for Good hackathon for us in case there is a student who wants to participate and get selected for JP Morgan. What should they expect from this hackathon? How does it work?
Actually, JPMC doesn't take freshers from a traditional interview and test round. It's actually, they look for people who can collaborate in a team. So once in a year, they organize an annual hackathon, which is for third years. Third years, it is for the opportunity for 2 months winter internship. And for fourth years, it is for 6 months internship plus FTE roles. So for that, not every college is eligible for that, and mine wasn't as well. I got an opportunity through an NGO.
Okay.
So there, every child will be able to sit for the test, DSA round, then AI-based behavioral round, and for the hackathon. In the hackathon, it is important that you can communicate really well with your team because it is not necessary that you will get your favorite friend or a schoolmate. And it's very unlikely that it will happen. They will make sure that every team member is spread across India.
Okay.
So it will be a team of around 7 to 8 members. You will get to know about the NGO for which you are going to formulate the solution according to which they want, their needs. And around, say, let's 20 hours or 22 hours, you have to submit your prototype, a working model. There will be, for us, there was 2 judging rounds, and post that we made to the finales. And there you will be presenting in front of the directors, the board there, and all the participants present there. We have 500 folks at that time.
Okay.
And post that, the selection is based on the NGO, like which solution fits them the most. Unfortunately, we didn't won the hackathon, but we were still able to make it to the runner-ups.
So you were the first runner up there.
Yes.
So you came second out of your team came second out of teams of 500 people all across the country.
Actually, all across the country, there were 1,500 people.
Okay.
It was organized in 3 different batches: Mumbai, Bangalore, and Hyderabad.
Okay.
And even in that 500 folks, there were groups of 4 NGOs. So for one NGO, there will be a winner, there will be a runner-up. So in that way, we were the runner-up for an NGO called Markshala.
Markshala. So how many teams were working on solving the problem for one particular NGO, for your NGO?
I would say around 10 to 12 teams.
Okay, so you stood second among those 10 to 12 teams. So basically among like 100 students probably?
Yes.
Okay. That is also a very big thing. So congratulations on that. Can you describe more about what the problem statement was and what kind of solutions were the teams coming up with?
So actually, the NGO is something working for the rural areas, the areas which are in the mountainous regions. So what happens is normally the rural people come to the urban areas because of, you can say, lack of education or awareness that there are employment opportunities out there and they don't need to vacate their motherland. So they asked us to build a solution first to create awareness, and second is to also advertise that they also provide certain courses and all. Some are free and some are paid. And right now, what they do is they go physically, gather up folks of 20, 25 and give the sessions. But it won't be feasible for a large scale. So they wanted to digitalize their entire doings and events. So we built in that way. So many teams had different approaches for solving that questions actually. Some built forms for career guidance. Some of them built courses like Udemy or something like that. What we did was we made it really for the rural people. The folks who can't read can use the chatbot, the voice. The folks who they don't need to navigate through certain levels. We designed it like for user centric and all those stuff. We didn't made it a lot of forms because the rural people can't read and write. So what's the use of making such huge forms? So in that criteria, we stood second.
All right. Can you also describe about the kind of technologies that you used to build that solution?
Yes, we used MERNstack as our base for web development and an LLM model.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So Ruchita, also describe to us what your BTech journey was like. What did you study in your first year? What did you study in your second year, in your third year, before you got shortlisted for this opportunity?
So first year was entirely COVID. The first sem went online, and the second sem we were able to go and collaborate with our college. But it was also a very short period of time, just 2 months, and our first year was entirely done. And coming from a really non-technical background from state board, I really don't know anything about coding. So second year went to just explore stuffs and things. I was really afraid of hackathons and all, so I missed them a lot. In third year, we actually got hands-on with development with DSA, especially advanced DSA. It was my favorite subject. Because I just started my coding and DSA, I missed on the Morgan Stanley test, which was, you can say, a fuel up for putting more efforts in it.
Yes.
And later that, I actually studied throughout the sems. And being from a sports background, it was a bit difficult to manage everything. But once you are goal oriented, nothing is that difficult to manage actually. And during the 4 years of journey, I also made sure my academics are at par, like around 9.7, 9.8. So I was awarded 3 times in a row scholarship for my BTech fees, and was also supported by an NGO through whom I got able to sit for this JP Morgan test. So that why things are all correlated to my academics at the end.
Definitely. Can you also tell us what kind of technologies had you already worked on before you applied for JP Morgan? Like in terms of DSA, you did like you were in alpha, so I'm assuming that you did your entire DSA with Java. So what else did you study in terms of projects? What other technologies were you aware of?
So actually in Mumbai, you have a system like for every 6 months, you have to build a project on a new tech stack.
Okay.
So I have worked with Java, but not that confident because it was a very basic second year level project. Java FX I used for a dashboard. Then I learned Python and especially for machine learning, AI, ML, and explainable AI techniques throughout my fourth year as a major project. Then MERN and advanced MERN. These are the major tech stacks that I have been implementing in my projects as of now.
Describe more about what kind of projects you currently have in your resume and what is the tech stack that you've used for them.
Okay, so I have three projects out of which two are MERN. Like one is core MERN blogging website, which was based on for UI job roles. The second was mixture of UI and then AI model. It was a movie recommendation system. Third one is it has some sort of MERN but it's completely oriented for explainable AI technique. It is for healthcare sector and it actually solves a lot of problems. So it is a three different variety and three different domains. One is for entertainment, one is for UI, and one is for healthcare.
Good. And do you think a good CGPA played a role in getting you shortlisted? Was there a CGPA criteria, a fixed criteria for the opportunity?
Actually, while applying, around 300 folks applied, and most of them got the chance to sit for a test because it wasn't CGPA oriented. But I would like to say that even though they don't say it explicitly, but it's really a good criteria to maintain at least an 8 CGPA. It gives you an upper hand in competitions like that, especially at the final selection criteria.
Would you say that majority of the students that got selected, yeah, in fact, you might not know about all of them, but the people that got shortlisted and were in your team in the hackathon, they also had good CGPAs?
Yes, they all had good CGPAs. They all belonged to really good colleges and they were really good from tech stack point of views.
Can you tell us what kind of colleges did other students who applied came from?
I don't really recollect, but one is from BITS. So he's a really good college. And other folks belong from Bangalore. The person from Bangalore was actually doing an internship in Google.
Okay.
So that kind of team I was working with, it was really good team.
Nice. All right. Do you think communication skills also played a good role for getting you shortlisted?
Yes, I would say there were around 500 people. I didn't know anyone who was not good in development or DSA. Each one of them were able to solve around 1,000 questions on lead code, really good projects. But the main thing was they were not able to communicate with the team. And in Code for Good, it's not like you win the hackathon, you will definitely get selected. Even the team that stood first, only two of them got selected for this role. So what really matters is there will be two mentors who will be always watching you around, how you collaborate with your team, how you take the leadership, how you are not dominant, but actually you are able to put forward your ideas. And there's a rule, ask for help when it is required, how you implement it, how you can just, experience the entire thing. On basis of that, you will get selected.
Okay. So, JP Morgan had the first round as DSA round. Second was kind of behavioral and a mix of communication skills. And third was based on development. So we have discussed about development. We have discussed about communication skills. Also tell us more about your DSA journey. What kind of concepts did you cover? And what was the level of questions which was asked in the DSA round?
I have been into lead code competitions at weekly competitions. And as compared to that, these questions I would say were of medium level. The first question was easy. It was an array based question, array manipulation question. The second one was a, if you know the concept, then it is difficult, I would say. It is a DP pattern matching question. At that time I just missed that topic, but I was able to solve that same question with brute force.
Okay.
So if you know the crisp of DSA, it was pretty medium, I would say, not that difficult to crack.
Okay, and how much time were you given to solve both the problems?
45 minutes.
45 minutes. Okay.
Yes.
So, in terms of DSA, what kind of like topics did you already cover before the contest, and how many DSA questions do you think you might have solved in your entire journey till now?
Um, so talking about how till what level I have studied,
Hmm.
I actually made sure I touched every topic in your course.
Okay.
Like I mastered till arrays and trees. They were like I could solve any difficult question. Graphs, medium level, DP, easy level. And tries. Tries were also a medium to advanced level I was able to solve.
Okay.
And during this entire journey, Alpha course I solved everything. And in Lead Code around 250 questions, and in Geeks for Geeks around 100 questions.
Okay. So in total, Lead Code with other platforms, you've solved around 350 plus questions.
Yes.
Okay, and that is apart from the things that you studied in the batch already.
Yes.
Okay, so that's a good amount of questions in DSA that you solved. So that's good. Acha, there is this common problem that students generally face when they're trying to solve DSA questions, which is ki they learn the concepts, they kind of solve questions in the lectures also, but when a student goes out there and tries to solve a new question on a different platform, then they're not able to form the logic of the new question. So how did you tackle this specific problem in your journey? Because I understand that I believe every student encounters this in their DSA journey.
Exactly. This is the question why I failed miserably in my first test. I was just grasping all the solutions, thinking that okay, if something comes, I'll apply the same logic and it is done. But when I enrolled in Alpha course, what I did was I was solving the same questions at least twice, once with you and once after a week or 2 week, so that I can build my logic. And trust me, once you completed array list on your own, it is even easier to solve trees questions or even DP questions, because you know that you can click the logic, and once you can write it on paper, you can do it on screen. That's the formula.
So, understanding the concept well and practicing the same core concepts once again
Yes.
so that you understand the logic even more.
Yes.
Okay, good. Uh, were theory subjects also an important part in getting shortlisted? Like computer science fundamentals like DBMS, operating system, computer networks, were they also asked?
No. JPMC doesn't ask, but the company that I sat for previous did ask it. In JPMC, we didn't had any interviews during the hackathon, but I saw that in my surroundings, other teams had mentors. So that mentor was informally getting interviews from the students to know that how they are technically strong.
Okay.
But we didn't had any interviews, so it's all luck based, you can say. But sometimes they ask, and when they ask, they will just touch one topic and get deep into it. So just speak if you are really sure of it.
Okay. So before JPMC, how many other companies did you apply to?
Only one.
Only one. So this was okay after Morgan Stanley. This was the first company that you got.
Yes. It is my first hackathon. It is my first company. It is my first job. Everything is first here.
So that is really, really nice. And congratulations. So, what was your parents' reaction when you told them about the opportunity?
The first thing my mother said is, "Don't joke with me." And my father also was in disbelief. Even when I started my internship, he didn't believe that I have started. That's how surreal the entire experience is.
So, do you also have younger siblings?
Yes, I have a younger sister.
What was her reaction?
She was the first, like every time I start something new, she's the first one to get to know about it. So she was really happy. Really, really happy.
That's nice. So, did your journey also motivate her to get into tech?
Yes, actually, she's from a commerce background, but right now she's also studying data analytics because she likes it when I do it on screen. So
Nice.
that's how things correlate in our family.
Definitely, that is really good. So, tell us more about how was your experience with Alpha, and did the apart from the lectures, did live sessions and did things like assignment questions did they help? And which batch of Alpha were you in?
I think I was in batch 2.0
Okay.
alpha course,
Hmm.
and obviously I watched all your lectures twice.
Hmm.
And I also attended few of the live sessions because, as I said, I belong to a sports background. So in between a
Hmm.
month or so, it became hectic because of college sports. But otherwise, I never missed any session. And if I missed any session, then the next day will be entirely devoted to the series.
Okay.
To make sure I'm with you.
Nice. So, what is your tip to students who are starting their coding journey today or maybe this year? What advice would you like to give to them?
Never fall into traps that this language is great, this language is great.
Hmm.
Once you join a company, you will never know what you are working on.
Hmm.
So, most important is understand the fundamentals of how things are working.
Hmm.
And if you are just beginning, then experience the entire thing. Explore as much as you can so that you will not never feel dumb in that environment. You will at least know something to speak on.
Hmm.
That's the most important thing. Explore, experience, code, have fun, and make sure you study fundamental. Be
Hmm.
strong at your foundation.
And also, any advice for students who might be sitting for their DSA interview or coding tests this year?
Uh, if you're coding, then just for the practice purpose, before writing the code, have this habit of doing pen and paper.
Hmm.
It is like a debugging session of your own code. And if you are in the interview, then mock interviews are really helpful.
Hmm.
Like, try explaining it to a child.
Hmm.
If he understands it, then interviewer will definitely understand it. And never miss on your communication skills, because even if you can code a really difficult question and cannot communicate with the interviewer, then it's of no use. Someone else will grab your opportunity.
Yes. Okay. Acha, there is one more question that I had for you. So, in your projects, you have mentioned that you made a project related to machine learning. And even in the hackathon project, along with MERN you guys used machine learning algorithms. So, can you describe what kind of role did AI have in your tech journey?
Um, Actually, I would say that talking about Python, there are n number of libraries.
Hmm.
If I touch on just LLMs, there are many, and for explainable AI, there are a lot of libraries which are never covered or doesn't have a proper documentation.
Hmm.
So taking help from AI to understand how that library works is really good. But if you're taking help for writing the entire project, then that's not good, because somehow everyone will notice that it's not your job.
Hmm.
So I always made sure that I'm understanding the libraries and then implementing it. In Hackathon, obviously we didn't use AI there.
Hmm.
We just wrote the code there. It was a prototype, so it was not difficult for an 8 people, team, especially when everyone is really hard coded
Hmm.
and development. And Mernstack, most of them knew, so it was easy for us.
Okay. So, as a student of 2025, uh, now that we hear a lot of talk about AI, what is your take on it? Like, how do you perceive AI, and even AI tools which are coming up right now? How do you perceive them as a student as well as somebody who is currently working in a company like JPMC?
I would like to say use AI to save time, but you don't use AI to do your entire work.
Hmm.
Then actually, AI also does a work in a way that everyone gets to know that it is AI done.
Hmm.
It can never copy a human brain or a human nature, even while writing a code. So use AI as a tool if you are stuck in some problem. That's it. Never completely rely on AI, because that is also human written at some point of time.
Hmm.
That's how we perceive. Even in a firm like that, we only use AI. If we are stuck somewhere or just some minor work.
Hmm.
Not We never completely rely on AI to write the code. It is not recommended.
Okay. Great. So, is there anything else that you'd like to tell us about your journey?
Like most people say that academics is not important, go for DSA, go for development. But I would like to say, if you are at least focused on your academics, then it is never a problem to even focus on dev, even focus on, DSA, because you know what it is to be like being focused. being studying, you can stay awake, you can go to the crisp of the knowledge. So somewhere academics do play a role.
Hmm.
And for me, it has opened all the doors for all the opportunities. So I can never say that academics is not important. I would not recommend that go for 100 percentile of marks. But yeah, never lose your track on academics. It's always there as a backbone.
Yes, so basically, if you are a student who is currently studying in college, if you're somebody who can focus on their academics, then that ability to focus also translates to other things like doing DSA or maybe making projects. Then you are also able to focus on those things. And definitely, when you're sitting for placements and internships, there are companies who will put a cutoff either directly or indirectly. So that is something that you should prepare well for. So definitely academics is something which is important along with placement preparation. And we all know that in the 4 years of BTech journey, it's not very hard to, maintain a decent level of CGPA in your college. But you have done with your CGPA 9 plus. So you were from computer science branch in your college? IT branch. So would you describe your college as tier 2, tier 3? What kind of category do you think? Is there strong on-campus placements?
I would say not completely strong. It's a tier 3 college. And JPMC doesn't visit tier 3 colleges actually. It only visits either tier 1 and tier 2 colleges. That
Okay.
is one of the prime reason JPMC hires from huge. They actually mass recruit from top colleges. And that also they filter out the top applicants. So from our college, I only got to know the NGO, and from there, I got to know JPMC opportunity. And talking about placements, right now, you know what the scenario is. It's the recession period. I would say a moderate level placements, not too high, and yeah, definitely lows, but medium companies are coming.
Okay. So what kind of advice would you give to your juniors who maybe want to keep a good CGPA in their college? How to do that?
I would say just understand the concepts. You know how to write your answers. You have been through HSC and all those boards. Understand the concepts and be really good with faculty. They'll help you out during the internship preparations, the opportunities, or even if you have some doubts, they'll clear for you. It becomes really handy, especially when you are really feeling low in the internships and all, or even if you are academically low, they will help you out. Like they will teach you or take an extra session. Be really good with them. Be respectful. Yeah, that's it. That's what I have always focused on.
Great, Ruchita. So it was really nice talking to you. And I think your interview and your words will have a lot of impact on the juniors, and it will also inspire them to work hard towards their goals. So when you started your BTech journey, did you think that you will get placed in a dream category company like JPMC? What were your expectations and how did it turn out to be?
It is a completely roller coaster ride for me. I really didn't wanted to do engineering, not even science. I wanted to do painting, sculpture, especially sculptures. But getting a 90%, you are forced for science. And after science, I got to know that in engineering, you'll get a lot of free time. I can continue my paintings and sculptures. And also, I was a tutor. For 2 years, I had my own classes. So that is why for first year, I didn't do anything like specific for coding. But then I really started liking coding and development and DSA. Then I left the past behind and then started. Once I get interest in something, it is all in. Then I just went into it and never lost any opportunity.
That is great. So, all right, it was very nice talking to you, and we wish you all the best in your future. And so, definitely, a lot of students will get inspired by your journey. All the best, and bye bye.
Thank you so much, ma'am. Bye bye.